Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the greatest show on earth, aka Art of MMA. I'm Mike Ginn. That's the mechanic, Brandon Cuttino, back in action for another week. We got a loaded show. We're talking Tyson Fury, Francis Ngannou. We're talking Henry Cejudo and Aljamain Sterling. We're talking about UFC fighter pay. You know, that's always a hot topic, Brandon. And then, of course, we're going to go ahead and preview PFL 2 for this weekend. We got Bruno Cappelozza back in action. And then we also got UFC Vegas 53 this weekend with Rob Font and Marlon Cheeto Vera. So a lot of stuff to talk about. Of course, let's get down to business. FightersFirst.shop. Check out their site. Get the latest merchandise. Support the brand. Support my boy Brandon Cuttino over there. He's got a fight coming up. We'll talk about that in a second. Hey, I got the brand new Dynamite Kid shirt on. Top seller in the shop. So check that out. Yeah, I even stand up. Y'all can see the whole thing. Dynamite Kid representing his debut in 1975 with the whole retro collection. So get that. Get all of that. FightersFirst.shop. Check that out. But Brandon, man, you dropped up some main news over on the social media this weekend. We've been hinting about it. We're talking about it's coming. Go ahead and drop that knowledge to the crowd. Tell people what's happening in June.
Yeah, guys, June 18th, the mechanic stepping back in the ring. The fight's down in Delaware. I think the town is called Hockinson, Delaware. So, like I said, it's been a long time coming, you know, saying over 2 years, but it's finally going to go down. I got a game opponent, you know, tall guy like me, southpaw. So, you know, southpaws are always fun. Not really, but you know, it should be it should be a good fight.
You know, Brandon, you're giving me, by the way, we talked about this off air a little bit before about the whole southpaw thing, and you're giving me a little bit more ammo to step in with you when we go over to UWA, because I'm a southpaw too. So I might have a little bit of an advantage on you, you know. But if you need a training partner, you want to come down to Tampa for a few days, we got you covered. You know, we got Gracie South down here. We got Gracie Riverview around the corner from me. So lots of gyms. Though I will tell you a little side note. I drove by Gracie South for the first time yesterday. I always like been around it, like doing like going here and there, especially in downtown Tampa. They are on the tiniest street of an old section of Tampa behind the University of Tampa that you could ever find. Like wow. I was doing something in the morning. I was cutting through it. I was like, hey, you know what? I know the gym's around the corner. I've always just wanted to see what it looks like. Let me drive by it. And it's like this brick building with glass windows and stuff. But it's like a 1-lane road with a little bit of parking on the side. And there was a dump truck coming the other way. And I was like, all right, I don't know how I'm going to get through here now. And I was stuck. So, yeah. I don't know. Hit up Billy Q. Maybe we can come down here. We get some training time down. You want to get some southpaws to battle with. But now that's exciting, man. I'm excited to see you back in the ring in June. It's going to be for Gut Check Promotions in Delaware. So check that out, fight fans. Get the mechanic merch. You know, we got the shirt right below you. Support Brandon Cuttino, support the movement, tune-up crew in the house. I'm sure they're going to pack the stands come June. So pay attention to that. We will be talking about it more as the date gets closer. And just a heads up, never know. We got to move our schedule a little bit around because of Brandon's training schedule because, you know, fighters first, that's more than just a motto. It is what it is. So that said, Brandon, man, I'm happy for you. We'll finally get this one in, knock on wood, because we've had a couple hiccups. Yep. But, man, last weekend we had 4 fight cards from Wednesday through Saturday. We had a lot of excitement going on. PFL brought the action day one. Both of us said Clay Collard was going to take care of business. It might have been a fight of the year contender, man. It was a battle. It was a war. But Jeremy Stephens is one step closer to BKFC.
I think you dropped that line.
I couldn't help myself, bro. I couldn't help myself. What'd you think of that card? And by the way, I went we both went 5-3 last week, but we went in different ways. Like Brandon had a little bit more success on the PFL side and a couple of the Bellator things. I had more success on the UFC side. So at the end of the day, I'm still the lead dog.
Yeah, man, the PFL brought it, man. Dude, night one, man, it was like nothing but finishes, really, right? That whole card, you know. So I mean, that's
except all. One notorious split decision.
Yeah, right. You know, that was the was it the Canadian
Schulte.
Gangster fight, right?
Schulte and Aljamain Mercier. Aljamain Mercier got the split decision win over the former 2-time champ.
Yeah, so I mean, so besides that, everybody else was they were getting stopped. So like I said, man, it was a good fight. You know, I won't lie, man. The co-main was looking a little dicey. You know, I definitely think he was down, and then boom, He came back. He got
I was so salty about that, bro. I was like, man, Madge is gonna do it. He's gonna win this fight. I'm gonna win this pick, Madge. Yep. And then all of a sudden, Roush pulled out that right hand, and that fight was over. I was like, what?
But yeah, but like I said, man, but that was good, and then the main event, like I said, it delivered, man. Two guys standing, banging. I think I was a little shocked about the 30-27. I think maybe Jeremy Stephens I think maybe gave him the first round, but other than that, like it definitely was the Clay Collard show for sure.
I wasn't surprised by 30-27. Honestly, I thought Clay won every round too. I think Jeremy was in almost every round, but I think Clay every round was landing the better shots, getting the best of them, especially later in the fight. But early in the fight, I think it was a close round, but I think Clay won the first round. I just think every shot Clay landed was with purpose. Whereas Jeremy, I think, was throwing a bunch of flurries. He caught Clay a couple times, but Clay didn't even slow down. Like I saw one like right hand that caught him right on the jaw. Clay was like, all right, next, let's go. Mm-hmm. Like he didn't even back up. Like, so I don't even think Jeremy Stephens ever really even hurt him, despite how many shots he landed. But it was a fun fight. I mean, I'll give Jeremy Stephens all the credit in the world. We saw, but he just falls in line, right? Like every former UFC guy that goes over to Bellator, to PFL, struggles. They're the first couple fights. They just haven't gotten the job done. But
Clay Collard and the UFC killer right there.
There you go. And Brittany Elkins is the one who welcomes all the women to the promotion. But man, yeah, a fun fight. Antonio Carlos Jr. got it done quickly with that Bravo choke. Questionable decision. Do you think Mercier beat Schulte? Was it a good decision?
Yeah. I mean, like I say, it was a close fight, but I mean, I always think, hey, it's early out here. It doesn't really affect. I mean, I don't think it really kind of.
It affected him last year. He didn't make the playoffs because of that first loss.
Yeah, I know. I that's what I was about to say.
Lost to Marcin Held last year.
But yeah, I was gonna be like, no, every fight does matter. But I don't know, man. I didn't really have a problem with it.
And then Simeon with that knee. Told you, watch out for that kid. That dude's gonna be special. He's just kind of like an addition right now. But if he gets in that playoff next year, that could be something. So good card, good fun card. Bellator had 2 cards we were talking about last weekend. By the way, shout out to Morning Combat. They wanted to sit there and doubt the opportunity and the chances that Liz Carmouche had. There's 2 guys right here that called that Liz Carmouche was going to be the new champion. So make sure you tune in to Art of MMA every week to find out why Brandon and Mike are right most of the time. Not always, most of the time. Sometimes one of us picks with our hearts. It could be either one of us, actually, not just me. Brandon, what happened on that first night of Bellator in Hawaii with Carmouche and Velasquez?
Yeah, man. Was it Danny Sabatella, man, came out party, basically trying to say he's here. Like I say, dark horse in that bantamweight Grand Prix, definitely good mic skills, and +2 now he is on Twitter. So hey, if you're a fan of his, you want to give him a follow, go ahead and do that. And then the main event. I know some people didn't like the stoppage. I'm sure hate another chance to hate on my guy Mike Beltran. But
no, I thought it was a good stoppage. I thought there was no Velasquez wasn't moving. She wasn't getting out of the position. She was just getting further into the cross, the side position. Like there was she was just getting hit. Like I think, maybe Carmouche wasn't hitting her with the hardest shots, but she was still gonna. It was like the Roy Nelson thing where he just like tap, 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 tap. Because you're not gonna move. He could hurt. Like she could have hurt her if she wanted to, but she was just winning. Like she's wanted to win.
Yeah. I mean, because I heard some people were trying to say like, oh, she was kind of just waiting out the round because I guess there was like 30 seconds left and she was kind of still trying to move her head, and I take all the power on those blows. But then, like you said, like Liz Carmouche, she really wasn't dropping elbows out there. She was just dropping elbows. Nothing cut her or anything like that. But like I said, the job of the ref is to protect the fighter, make sure that they're safe. He saw that she wasn't moving. She was in a bad predicament. He stopped it. Liz Carmouche, your champion. Hey, they want to run it back. Let them run it back. Yeah,
I mean, it's either that or, we saw on the next night where, Kish stepped up and possibly put herself in the conversation too. So there's a couple contenders. I don't think McFarland's anywhere close to it anymore after another loss. And honestly, she doesn't even look like she has a lot of ring rust. We saw that on the next night, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. over in that co-main event, we were both wrong. Barzola brought the heat for 3 rounds, just dominated Nikita. And then Danny Sabatello gave Lugo his first loss. What do you think about that?
Yeah, like I said, man, Danny put himself on the mat, man, came out, just basically just ragdolled him, Like I said, man, he used his wrestling well, did his thing, and then like I said, he hopped on the mic, called people out. People are definitely paying attention to him.
I mean, now he's an alternate for the tournament, right?
Yeah, he's in it now. He's fighting.
In it?
Yeah, he's fighting. Was it Hugo? Right, Hugo's his last name. Or
that's right, because they have the 2 playing, two fighting. Yeah, so he's in the tournament now. Grant Neal handed Edwards another loss. No loss of love there. Maybe Christian Edwards wants to show up for an interview. I might support him a little bit more. But I'm not bitter or nothing. It's fine. As my camera got blurry, as I was saying that. That's karma right there, people. That's karma. Don't talk shit. And then over on the second, and Weber Almeida, congratulations, man. That dude's gotten 2 in a row after having that hiccup. Now he's starting to get back again. Some vicious leg kicks and did what he was supposed to do. And then over on the next night, we had Cyborg and, Arlene Blencowe. And you know what? I said I'd probably be wrong, right? Like, there's levels to this. And Cyborg is just so elite. The way she starts off almost every combo with a kick, so you're worried about her hands. Almost every combo started off with a kick, whether it was up the middle or something like calf kick or something before she let her hands go. She started with the distance. She kept the distance. Now, Arlene Blencowe gave her one of the toughest fights she's had to date, not named Amanda Nunes. Like, she gave her one of the toughest fights she's had. She lasted all 5 rounds. She knocked her down a couple times. She bloodied up her ear. If you look at Cyborg the next day, her I believe her left eye is almost swollen shut because they ran into each other the next day in Hawaii and took a picture together. But it shows not just that Arlene probably is the second best featherweight in the division, but it shows how good the first one is in Cyborg. What do you think of that fight?
Hey, man, good fight by Chris Cyborg, man, saying Cyborg, letting people know why she is the number 1 featherweight in the world. I say, man, nothing like I said, to me, she'll always be number 1. We shall see what's next for her, because that really was the last fight on her contract. Her term is up in the summertime, with Bellator. So we'll see if she resigns or if she goes somewhere else. But like I said, man, dude, Chris Cyborg doing Chris Cyborg things, man. I feel like she's always evolving. She's always trying new things. Like you said, right? We're used to her being known for her hands, but this fight, she was using her legs. She was really looking for that front kick up the middle. I feel like she was trying to pull a Anderson Silva on Vitor Belfort over here, but it just didn't happen. She was just a little bit off.
I'll tell you what, she was really lucky too, because if Arlene Blencowe doesn't block most of that knee on the ground, it could have been a DQ finish too. Like, she threw that knee on the ground, and if Arlene Blencowe hadn't had her hand up and had it hit flush, and props to Blencowe, she didn't quit on it. She just got up. It's like, all right, let's keep fighting. But thankfully her hand was there, because if her hand wasn't there and caught most of that blow, we could have a new featherweight champion.
No, wasn't it early? Wasn't it?
But it was ruled intentional.
Because I'm saying, wasn't that in the first round? So I don't know.
It was in the second round, but it was ruled intentional. So if it was ruled intentional, that's a disqualification. And in that case, it would have been a new champion, because it would have been a DQ. Now, for her part, Blencowe took a couple minutes, got right, and she's like, I want to keep fighting, because that's just how she's built. But that was a couple things. And I give Jason Herzog all the props in the world. Don't think he did a great job reffing that night, because one, and this isn't any kind of discount towards Cyborg, because she's one of the best in the world. There's no question. But right before that knee, she hit Arlene Blencowe directly in the back of the head. Like, just straight up punched her right in the back of the head. And Jason was looking right at it and didn't say a word. And then he hesitated after the knee landed before he stopped the action for a minute. Like, he just was, wait, what did I see? And then one thing that bothered me, I know Cyborg is supposed to be this dominant monster in the cage. But if you watch Jason Herzog, and I watched it for 4 rounds, I don't know if he did it in the first, but for 4 rounds, he did not take his eyes off Arlene Blencowe the entire time. You watch him as he's circling the cage. He never once looked to see if Cyborg is okay. Cyborg got knocked down. His eyes are still locked on Blencowe, trying to protect Blencowe. No disrespect to Arlene or Cyborg, but you need to be, as a ref, you need to be looking at both fighters the whole time. You can't just lock in on one person, no matter how much you're trying to protect them, because guess what happens? If something happened to Cyborg and she got hurt or damaged because he wasn't paying attention, then that's on him too. This is a fight. Anything can happen. And I don't like that he's literally, and because once I noticed it, I couldn't stop seeing it. He just never took his eyes off of her. And I get that he was trying to protect her, but you got to see all the action or you're going to miss something. And that just kind of like, it bothered me. But on the rest of that card, Brandon, Stotts, man, new interim champion. What you think of that fight, man? Archuleta was bringing a fight with him for a while, and then Stotts caught that knee on a leg kick and just knocked him out cold.
Yeah, man. Yes, man, right around Stotts, man, letting people know who he is. In case you weren't thinking about, like I said, this was a fight that Stotts wanted. He got it, and he proved he proved why it is that he wanted it. He wants to put his name out there, that he's one of the best at 135. That's what he definitely did. Now that he is the interim champion, and then going on to that other bantamweight fight, man, you called it, your boy Apache Mix, man.
Apache's no joke, bro.
I mean, not you know what, man. I'm not gonna lie. Like I said, man. I was still going with Horiguchi. Like I said, to me, Horiguchi was one of the best 135ers out there. But really, man, when you looked at those two size wise, Horiguchi looked like he should be 125 out there.
I told you, Apache's big. He's powerful. Yeah. And then he's got the rear naked choke, like that's his thing, kind of like Aljamain Sterling. That's just his thing. And if you got to worry about a dude on your back when you're trying to get up, like that's not a comfortable position for anyone. So, yeah, Apache, I told you a few weeks ago, it's going to be Apache and it's going to be Stotts in that final. And I can't wait to see that fight. We'll see. Anything can happen. But what did you think of the Kish McFarlane fight?
Hey, man, Justine Kish did her thing, man. She
great strategy.
Took that fight, 30-27 is what I thought, saying she won all 3 rounds. Like McFarlane really didn't bring anything. So, we
brought a great entrance. That's what she brought.
Huh?
She brought a great entrance. That's what she brought.
Yeah. Entrance and fans, being in Hawaii.
The funny thing about that is like, you look at McFarlane throughout her career and up until that Velasquez fight, she was such a well-rounded fighter. You knew she went to her wrestling, but she could do a little everything. I don't know if she's gun shy after that Velasquez fight where she fought a lankier fighter that could get the reach before she could. But her striking looked so amateur in this fight against Kish. Like her striking looked like it didn't even belong on a professional level. Later in the fight, when it was clear she was looking for a takedown, she landed a couple shots on Kish with her striking, but from the point where she just basically tried to bull rush her into a takedown right off the get-go and didn't like let her hands kind of set up the level change, it just seemed like McFarlane either had a lot of ring rust for being off for like a year and a half, or it just maybe exposed how far the difference is between her grappling ability and her striking ability, which is like way different. So I think, she teased retirement before. I honestly wouldn't be surprised to stick, because she does commentary. She does a lot of other stuff around the fight game. I wouldn't be surprised to see her kind of step back into that more and maybe fight once in a blue moon. But if she doesn't step up that striking to match her wrestling and grappling, she's not going to be a championship level fighter anymore. Do you agree or disagree?
I don't know what's going on with her, man. Like I said, I just really want to say, man, I feel like this was just a good performance by Justine Kish. She came out, she wanted to bounce back from her Bellator debut, because remember, she did fight Deanna Bennett. Deanna Bennett just straight up controlled her, and she wanted to bounce back. Former champ, you get this W, people will put some name. Will put you in a higher spot. So and that's what happened. I think she won. I think now she's ranked in the Bellator division now. I think she might be number 9. So I just think it was just a good performance by Justine Kish. I don't want to take anything away from her. She did what she was supposed to do.
Yeah, and people don't realize also it was a division change, right? Like she came down a division, and then she went like 1-4, like in her first like fights in that division. So in other divisions, she's like 7-2 or something like that. Like she's got like a much better record. So she's really just struggled in this weight division, but. Kish is always a veteran. She's always tough. She should put up a good fight, especially her and Carmouche. I'm sure that would be a great fight. So we'll see if they run it back with Velasquez or not. And then shout out to Yancy Medeiros trying to get that Bellator contract. He got the dominated win over Sanchez. And then also Yamauchi with the submission in the first round. Even though he kind of like was lower on the card than he's used to, at least he got put on that card after the whole Derek Anderson thing. So, congrats to them.
Yeah, 170, his new weight class, man. He looked good. He basically said when he got on the mic that he's a problem at 170. So let's see what's next for him.
Also, in the shocker, I think, was that Kai Kamaka lost the split decision. And I don't think it was a bad decision. I thought he did lose the fight. So, but it was a fun fight. But Kai Kamaka, coming over that hot name from the UFC, thinking he's going to get that run. Well, he's got a little hiccup he has to bounce back from now.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't, I guess, a good weekend for the Hawaiian fighters, really.
Nah. But on the bright side, at least BJ Penn didn't get arrested this weekend.
Yeah.
There you go. And lastly, before we get into today's show, UFC, ladies' night all around last weekend. I was right. Brandon was wrong. Jessica Andrade got the win with the standing arm and head choke. Andrade, man, she's really like, if she's not fighting for the championship, she's the best, one of the best fighters in the world. What'd you think of that card?
Yeah, man. Like I said, it was Andrade, man, came out good submission. I think she made history. I think she's the only person to ever get a standing arm triangle submission. Like I said, I mean, she was getting pieced up a little bit from the outside, but she got that grip, and man, like saying that is strength right there, man. That's muscle.
Yeah, she has that power
right there, and she got the submission. So good for her. Let's see what's next for her at 115. She says that is the division for her. So we'll see what's next. She could maybe get the winner of the Wily Joanna fight, or
they're going to be fighting International Fight Week, right?
Or maybe she could get the winner of Rose and Esparza. So we'll see what happens. She does have options. Or I remember. I think somebody was trying to say like, oh, how about her versus Mackenzie Dern, or maybe was it Rodriguez? One of those two. But
what about the future?
Stop it, bro. That's 125, man. The different weight class.
She can fight anybody, anytime. The future, Macy Barber. Bro, you ain't saying nothing about that win over your girl De La Rosa.
Bro, Macy Barber. Shout outs, man. Macy Barber,
Macy
man.
Looked great.
She found her home with the clinch. Got those strikes off on the clinch. Saying you saw when it was really on the ground and it was straight like jiu-jitsu. De La Rosa definitely had the advantage, but hey, man, this is MMA. You got strikes, got clinches in there. So, hey, shout out to Macy Barber. Good job to you. Let's see what's next for her.
And, the more she works with Team Alpha Male, the better she's going to get all around. Like, she's only going to get better, especially working with, like, Faber and Mike Mallet and all those guys. Like, she's only going to get better. So, I think she does have a brighter future than somebody gives her credit for. But it wouldn't be the first time Brandon hated on somebody. There's a girl named Kayla Harrison that's doing pretty well for herself.
Yeah.
Also in that card, Brandon was wrong. Puelas got the win over Clay Guida.
Bro, that knee bar, man, dude, he was quick to get that knee bar, man. Clay Guida was trying to roll out, did a flip over, and then boom, as soon as you see Clay just roll out, boom, grabbed his leg, knee bar, done deal. So shout outs, man, hey man, you get caught.
Yeah, he was locked in. There was nothing. I've never seen Clay Guida quit before. Like, he had no choice. Yep. He had no choice. And then shout out to Mike Jackson. He found another way. But I mean, in fairness, it took him getting kicked in the nuts and getting his eye almost ripped out for him to get this disqualification win. So, Dean Barry can cry that he was faking it or doing whatever else. The replay showed different, Dean.
Yeah.
You went out of your way to make sure Mike Jackson doesn't want to get back in that cage again. But unfortunately, now because of what happened, Dana might have to give him another fight. So we'll see. Anyway, that's everything that happened last week. We spent way too long talking about it, but it was 4 cards. Wanted to get our thoughts on it, get the mechanics expertise. But Brandon, you ready to talk about today's show?
Yeah, man. Always ready.
All right. Last weekend, also during all the UFC and MMA action in Bellator PFL, we might have missed it. Tyson Fury fought Dylan White, got the KO in the 6th round. Arguably, he said it was his retirement fight. He said, that's it. I'm no more boxing. But in the aftermath, fight that we knew people wanted to see, we knew both Francis Ngannou and Tyson Fury both wanted. They basically made it kind of semi-official, saying Francis Ngannou came in the cage or in the ring. They said, "Hey, we're gonna have a mixed rules fight sometime early next year. It's gonna be a boxing match with MMA gloves and some other stuff to be worked out." They're both very complimentary towards each other. Two giants of the industry, of each industry, two of the baddest men on the planet. Now the only question is Francis Ngannou going to do it on his terms as a free agent at the end of the year? Or is he going to do it with the UFC's blessing? Because he made it very clear in the aftermath, any contract negotiations with the UFC have to allow this fight to happen. So, Brandon, I'm going to give you the old two questions at once. One, are you excited about Tyson Fury versus Francis Ngannou? And two, is it actually going to happen?
I'll go with the second question first.
That's not how I gave it to you. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, so right, I'm going to answer how I want to answer it. The second one, the second part, I will say yes, it will happen. Not exactly sure if it'll be at the end of this year or maybe early next year, because, like I said, Tyson Fury doesn't have anything right now because he's kind of waiting for the winner of the AJ versus Usyk fight, which of course
Well, Fury said he retires. He said he's done with boxing. He said he's done it all. He's retired.
Man, please, he's not done. He's not done. He might say that because, like I say, he was supposed to retire a while back against Wilder. He told his wife that, but then he said no to this one because he wanted to fight in front of his fans in England. But really, what I think what happened was that he saw AJ with AJ's entrances in England, and he was just like, "Oh, I gotta be a part of that." So that's why I think he'll keep coming back. And saying the dude's 33. Dude, if you're getting 30 mil a fight or more than that, man, I think him and his wife will be A-okay with him still fighting. So like I said, I think this fight will happen. Well, I'm sorry, man. What was the first one again?
Are you excited about it? See, if you had answered it in order, you would have remembered.
Yeah. Am I excited about it? If it happens, it happens. I'm not really thinking about it, man, because, dude, like, if the fight does happen, I'm like, I say I have Tyson Fury winning it all the way. Like, that's it. Like, I think there's no way Ngannou wins this fight. If it's strictly like any type of striking in it, like saying like if it's boxing with MMA gloves or they're just doing boxing with some clinching, where you do dirty boxing, I still favor Tyson Fury with the way how he moves, his boxing IQ. It's a Tyson Fury fight all day.
So I see it two ways. One, I agree. I think Tyson Fury dominates Francis Ngannou. I don't think it's any different than Dylan White or any of these other smaller but like more powerful heavyweights, right? Because Tyson Fury's 6'8", 6'9". Like, the dude's a big dude with a lot of reach. And it's just you can't get inside on him. He can sit there and hit you from the outside with power while you got to get inside to do whatever you need to do. And if you come inside, like what happened to White, you get hit with the uppercut, right? But the reason why I think Tyson Fury really is retired from boxing is, one, Joshua Usyk isn't guaranteed to happen like it's supposed to because of the whole war going on in that place I can't mention to keep us from being advertised. And then on top of that, if it does, I don't see Joshua beating Usyk ever. I think Usyk's just such a tremendous boxer who's also undefeated. People like sleep on him because he came up in weight divisions, kind of like Roy Jones. Like, this dude is undefeated for a reason. He's one of the best ever. But on top of that, then there's the huge size difference between Fury and Usyk. And there's just no way that Usyk can do what he does to Joshua to Fury. So that's just a total different animal, and that's why that fight wasn't excited to Fury when people talk to him about it. He's like, I think it's too much of a difference. I don't think it would ever be a good fight. But then you also have to remember everything Fury's getting into. Like, he's been into wrestling. He's talking about going back to WWE for some stuff, especially over in Crown Jewel in Saudi Arabia, where they'll pay him upwards of 10, 20, 30 million.
Yeah, let's not see that again, because the last time he was in WWE, ooh wee, baby.
It wasn't as bad as it could have been. I think they actually did a decent job for what it was. But on top of that, he's a special attraction wherever he goes, whether it's WWE and Saudi Arabia and all that stuff, or whether it's, showing up at WrestleMania for a spot here and there. But also he wants to do some acting. He wants to do some of these special exhibition fights that he can't do because the WBC might be like, you have to fight this guy. And guess what? I'm a free agent. I do whatever. When they said about unifying the titles, his answer was, I've already held them all. Like, they have my old titles because he dropped them when he took a couple years off, to get his rehab and get his self right from all the abuse. Like, people forget he is the lineal undisputed champion. Like, he never lost any of these belts.
Yep.
Whether you love or hate the guy, he's a showman. He wants to be in show business. He doesn't need boxing as much as boxing probably needs him right now. Obviously, Earl Spence and Crawford and all these guys are making noise at lower weight classes. But the heavyweights, Tyson Fury, Wilder, Joshua, now Usyk, that's all the noise. And everybody else is just like background chatter. You don't know their names the way you used to 10, 15 years ago. I think Tyson Fury and Wilder did a lot to bring heavyweight boxing back. As far as will we ever see the fight, I still don't know. I don't know because I think Dana eventually is going to back up the truck for Ngannou. I think we'll see a much better Ngannou next time we see him because he won't have 2 torn knees. He'll have his knees all better. He'll be moving better. He won't have to wrestle to win a fight. And then we'll see the Mike Tyson style Francis Ngannou we're used to that runs through people. But I will throw another name in the hat that people aren't thinking about. If he does go into free agency, I know very well that Bellator would let him fight Tyson Fury. Because Bellator also let all their guys go over to TNA wrestling as well when that was a thing. Bellator has always been about the cross promotion. That's why I think Cyborg isn't going to leave Bellator either. I think she's going to sign with Bellator with a specific clause that says, hey, I can go fight Kayla if PFL allows it. I think that's a part. Like, I don't think she's going back to UFC to fight Amanda. I don't think that's going to be a thing. Amanda currently is locked in with this whole thing with Pena in the Ultimate Fighter anyway. So that's going to be ways off anyway. And no offense, but Cyborg's not getting any younger. So she wants these fights. She wants them now so she can get paid. And I think that money's in Bellator. And I think I could see Francis Ngannou going over to Bellator and making that money and being allowed to go make bigger money on a bigger stage. You always say like the only stage, like UFC is not the only stage.
Nope, they're not.
So if Dana doesn't undo the way he does business to keep the heavyweight champion in the fold, he's going to be the first major promotion to have a current champion walk.
I mean, I'm just saying you can go, like, you could do that. Like, what you're saying makes sense because, like I said, he could go to Bellator. Bellator's on Showtime. Showtime does boxing. Tyson Fury's deal with Top Rank is ending, so he's actually a free agent with Top Rank.
The ESPN deal is this last fight on the ESPN deal. That's another reason for the retirement.
Yeah. So basically, I'm saying, so he's not with Top Rank because Top Rank's with ESPN. So he's a free agent TV wise. So like say he could be pulling a Canelo, and he can go Showtime Boxing, which of course is PBC. So usually like that's where they do their stuff with. And so there's some so it could happen. It could be a Showtime pay-per-view right there, and boom, Bellator's giving him the pub, and Showtime's giving him the pub and everything like that. CBS getting involved, like that. And the
only downside to that is that I have to probably hear more of Ronaldo on commentary. Damn it,
talking about, man, dude, that's the best play-by-play guy for combat sports. Get out.
Nothing shouts out a current fight like talking about Nas and Wu-Tang going on tour. I was excited by it. But Mr. have to drop like a pop culture reference every 5 seconds to try to seem relevant, and then listen to whatever his color commentary is telling him to say, and then for the next 5 minutes talk about whatever the color commentary person told him to say, whether it's boxing or MMA. I'm sorry, Corey Graves was right. All right.
Stop
Mic
it.
drop.
Stop it.
Every Bellator card is better on mute.
Combat commentator out there, hands down.
Bring me back Mike Goldberg.
Mamma mia, baby.
Give me Mike Goldberg back. Forget Moro.
Oh, my goodness. See, this is why, man, we take your card away. Get out of here.
You take my card away. I'm the lead dog. Anyway, moving on. I just threw a virtual card right into outer space. Moving on. I wish I had like the little like cards and I could just like flick it away like some of the other co-hosts do, like the other hosts do, different shows. We knew Henry Cejudo is back. We knew Henry Cejudo is back in the USADA pool. The one thing Dana said, I wasn't even going to talk about it till he's back in the pool. He's back in the pool. He met up with Sean Shelby and Hunter Campbell in Vegas. And everybody's been kind of like Like, we know he's talked about the bantamweights. Yeah, he's talked about everybody from 125 pounds up to 155 pounds. He has opinions on everybody. But most people thought he was going after Volkanovski because he tried so hard to be the substitute when Max Holloway dropped out. Well, funny enough, they talked about Aljamain Sterling. They talked about the bantamweights where he was once the champion. Back when Henry Cejudo was a two-division champion, went up to bantamweight, won that belt, retired, called it a day, walked off in the sunset. Now, there's obviously the war of words. They've had it for a while. Cejudo has bashed both Jan and Sterling, is calling them as like vulnerable champions that he could beat easily. But Brandon, it looks like even the UFC is on board. After the Dillashaw-Sterling fight, that seems to be next. Henry Cejudo might be waiting for the winner. What do you think of that?
I mean, let's see what happens. Like I said, he's in the USADA pool.
Eligible for October.
Even though Dana White likes to still say that he's retired. So, who knows? I mean, I do think that this would be the smarter move for Cejudo, because like I said, I think if he gets a title fight at bantamweight, and let's say he does beat, whoever's the champion, Sterling, Dillashaw, whoever, if he is the bantamweight champion, then that's when I think he has more pull to try to get that featherweight title shot at
super fight,
where that way he could be a double champ again. Instead of him just coming out of retirement and trying to get the featherweight title shot. Now, I think this way, if he does become bantamweight champion again, he'll have more leverage, and that way he can get that he can get that fight at 145 like he wants.
Do you think Henry Cejudo takes a warm-up fight, or do you think he'll only take a fight against the champion?
I think he only wants to fight against the champion. Like I said, he's here for money fights, so he knows that he knows championship fights or money fights.
So if the UFC offered him, say, Peter Yan, and the winner of that got the winner of Sterling Dillashaw, do you think he would take that fight or no?
I don't think so, man. Like I said, he is the former champ. He never lost his belt. So to me, I think he thinks that he just walk in and he should automatically get a title shot.
I mean, he's not wrong. Like, look, we saw it with Dominic Cruz, right? Mm-hmm. Like, Dominic Cruz walked back in after years off with injuries and right back in the title picture, and he won. The thing about Henry Cejudo is that he has been such a vocal sideline guy since he retired, right? Like, he's been talking about every single fight. He's paying attention. He's training champions like Davison Figueiredo. He's training Chris Cyborg right now. Like, he helped her with her wrestling before this Blankout fight. He's been training with some of these top fighters, training with Khabib, training with a bunch of people. So we know he's still on top of his game outside of the cage. But the fans haven't seen him since, he won the bantamweight title and walked away. I'm interested to see how they play this out because we all know the Volkanovski fight is there if he wants it, though we think we all know Max Holloway is next for that title, considering everything that's happened. And who knows how long that's going to be because now Volkanovski's in his, his 6 months of like, all right, I fought, let's go home, get rested, go back to Australia, relax, train up, and then come back later the year. Holloway's kind of ready now, so we see if Holloway might take a fight now and wait later, or if he just waits because he seems to be healed up from whatever mystery ailment or medical situation he had. He was ready to fight if Zombie couldn't. And then we have the whole situation with Dillashaw and Sterling. We have Peter Yan, who, depending on how you look at that last fight, was razor close, still in the picture. And then it's everybody else, right? Because Sandhagen's lost a couple fights now. He's kind of further down. He has to fight his way back. There's not very many people with that name that are screaming for title shots. So I think Dillashaw either has to fight Yan or wait. I'm sorry, not Dillashaw. Cejudo has to fight Yan or wait. And I think we'll have to wait and see. I think 125 pounds is definitely out of the question. I think he's been out too long. I don't think that weight cut's going to happen. But who knows? Any final thoughts on this one before we move on?
No, man, like I said, let's see what happens, in that bantamweight title picture.
Now, Brandon, moving on to our last subject before we get into our previews and picks, and you get to see the lead dog in action again. Sorry, every once in a while I got to make Brandon laugh a little bit. Moving on, We talked about it a little bit with Ngannou. We talked about it in the past with Conor McGregor. Very few active UFC fighters have the ability to cross over into a boxing fight. The idea of Usman and Canelo has been brought up for later this year. Canelo is basically like, who the fuck is this guy? Like, he has no concern whatsoever over that fight. It's not on his radar. I think if the money truck backs up, he'll listen, but I don't think even he cares. But the problem comes down to UFC fighter pay again, because a lot of these fighters are making more than they ever did in their MMA careers in boxing. You see, Frank go over to Triller and Triad. You see Vitor Belfort. They're going over. Now you're seeing Dan Hardy, who, got shut down by the UFC for a heart condition. And Diego Sanchez, another former UFC fighter who had that whole big fallout last year, going over to do a exhibition boxing match, making more than they have their entire MMA careers combined. We see somebody like Paige Van Zandt that went over to bare knuckle boxing. We see your guy Jimmy Rivera going over to bare knuckle boxing. We see now Big Ben Rothwell signing to bare knuckle boxing, because they can make more money, whether it's with boxing gloves or just boxing bare knuckle, than they ever did in the UFC, period. Now, this isn't an MMA problem, because Bellator pays Corey Anderson enough that he's made more than he's made in his entire UFC run. They're paying Ryan Bader pretty well. They're paying Phil Davis pretty well. This is a UFC problem, and they're the biggest promotion in the world. They are the grand stage. They're the ones that have the fight cards all over the world. They're the ones that everybody knows. When you talk MMA, before you know any other promotion in the world, you know the UFC. They've built it that way. They're a conglomerate. They're a mogul. They're whatever you want to call it. And let's not take anything away from the UFC. They earned it. From the time of tough man competitions and seeing a 150-pound man versus a 500-pound man, to what we have is one of the most regulated martial arts sports in the world. The UFC is at the head of that. They're the ones that spearheaded a lot of that to open doors for companies like Pride, later on companies like Strikeforce and Bellator, companies like the PFL and whatever this mystery MMA promotion coming in 2023 is going to be. And regional promotions all over the world, like Luke's Fight League and Cage Fury, all that opened the doors because of what the UFC established 20 years ago. But what hasn't progressed during that time period has been the fighter pay. Brandon, do you think that it will get fixed? Like, they're a majorly traded company now with Endeavor and WME. Will it get fixed, or will they just keep losing talent like Francis Ngannou, former fighters like Dan Hardy and Diego and all these guys to boxing? Like, what's going to happen?
Nothing. That's it. That's all I'm gonna say. Nothing. Like, everybody talking about,
well, this was a riveting conversation.
Yeah, exactly, man. I mean, dude, there's not too. The UFC is the UFC. They're gonna still do the same things. Like, yes, has their fighter pay increased since like the beginning times? Yeah, because before it used to be 3-3, then it was 6-6, then it was 10-10. Now I think it's 12-12. But the thing is, though, they have shows like The Ultimate Fighter. They have shows like Dana White's Contender Series, where they can just get talent that comes in and they pay them whatever they want to pay. Like, yo, you're still doing show and win money, when right now when you could do just give everybody just a regular pay, like how boxing does, or kickboxing or whatever shows that are out there. But no, they still have this same motto. And the thing is, though, is like you said, it's the UFC. People want to be in the UFC. They will take that. They will think, oh, I'm in the UFC. That's what's up. That's why I was
wrestling with WWE. It's like the same thing.
That's why I tell people, I'm like, yo, you are a prize fighter. You got to go where the money is. Like Matt Mitrione even said it himself. He was like, I'm a prize fighter. Bellator's going to pay me more. I'm going to go to Bellator. But the thing is, though, you think that you're going to get that glamour. You're going to get that shine. You're going to get that promotional push in the UFC than you would if you were in PFL or anything like that. Like, that's why the PFL, though, speaking of the PFL, that's why a lot of fighters are down to go there, because they're like, oh, $1 million in 1 year plus
they get the per fight.
Yeah, exactly. And plus two, they're getting that. So, I mean, and you look at Ben Rafa, what he said with bare knuckle. I think in an interview, he said, I think he has 3 fights with them, but I think he said in those 3 fights, he would make 7 figures, so that's $1 million at least, or maybe a little more, depending on,
which is more than he's made in his entire UFC career.
So, but that's the thing. But the thing is, though, the UFC doesn't have to do anything. Nobody's leaving. Like, unless you really get fighters who really fighting out their contracts and going the free agent route and leaving, they have no need to change. They have no need to try to pay more, anything like that, because people still want to come. Like I said, they have shows like Dana White Contender Series. They still have the Ultimate Fighter, where they can get fighters in at a low pay and they'll stay there, and they lock them up for like 8-10 fights, and the people sign it because they're like, oh, it's the UFC. Oh yeah, plus two, Dana White's looking for a fight as well. I can't forget about those fighters as well. Mickey Gall out there.
And look, I bartended for a long time, right? And no matter how great I thought I was or how valuable I was to any restaurant I worked at, right? If I got fired or quit, there would be somebody else that did what I did, that went in and bartended. And would they be as good as me? Maybe, maybe not. But they'd be a body to fill that spot. And that's where the UFC is at this point. There are, like, if Usman said, screw this, I'm the best pound for pound fighter in the world, I'm going to go fight boxing and get some money against Canelo and everybody else. Guess what? The new rankings would come out. There would be a new pound for pound fighter at the top of the division or top of the thing. And guess what? They'd crown a new welterweight champion, and the world would keep moving. People would be like, oh, I remember Usman, he was great. But it would be in past tense, right? Even though the guy's still alive and kicking and still right next to you, right?
Yeah.
Like GSP, we still talk about him, but he fought against Bisping, but really hasn't fought competitively in years. But now Usman is the guy. Like, the division moves on to somebody brand new. John Jones has been out of action. We still talk about him. We think maybe he might fight later this year. Now that's even getting pushed into question because he says if he's going to fight Stipe, he needs more time. He hasn't had 2 years to train.
But again, the thing that keeps saying, like, people keep talking about this John Jones, but the thing why John Jones didn't fight Francis Ngannou, because he wants more money. He wants more money.
It's all about the money.
For him moving up the heavyweight. Like, I feel like people keep forgetting that he said that he wanted more money. And so that's just the thing. Like, why did Henry Cejudo retire? He wanted more money, and that's how it is. All these people say that they want more money, and then somehow it gets forgotten. Or that's when Dana White will change the narrative and be like, oh, this person doesn't want to fight anymore. They don't want to fight. We offer them to fight. They don't want to fight. But no, the thing is that they do want to fight. They just want to be compensated for it. You're trying to give them some cheap rate and they don't want it. So they're not having it. So according to you, they don't want to fight.
Then he tries to diminish their brand. So they come out looking like gold and the fighter looks like crap. Yeah. Yep. And that's a time will tell. They've done it forever. Because like I said, he copies Vince McMahon's playbook. He's copied it from day one. Somebody's leaving Vince, what does he do? He buries him. So when they go to the other promotion, they look like a B star, not an A star. And that's what he does. He doesn't talk about Corey Anderson. He doesn't talk about Benson Henderson. He doesn't talk about Ryan Bader. None of those names come across a broadcast on UFC. If some guy, like, say Glover, like, they're not going to say, oh, Glover destroyed Corey Anderson or lost to Corey Anderson or Blagowicz, whatever. They're going to not mention his name like he's dead. He doesn't exist until he's retired years later. Whereas if you watch a competitor like Bellator, you saw Moro kind of hesitate sometimes when he got ready to mention something about the UFC. But eventually he just said it because the producers are like, you can say that. It's fine. And then later he would be like, yeah, former UFC, blah, blah, blah. That's the difference. Like when they're talking about Horiguchi and UFC, like they're talking about this stuff. People have a past. But if it's UFC, it's like you're in the UFC, and if you're not in the UFC, you don't exist. And that's that wrestling format. That's that Vince McMahon format that Dana has copied so closely. Now, it's worked for him. And like you said, there's no competitive edge to make him do something different and pay people more. I think the only way they ever do it is if they unionize. And they'll never do that because then the UFC will just be like, all right, we're only going to take these fighters. And then you're pitting the fighters against themselves. And at the end of the day, after paying for training camp, after paying for coaches, and after paying for all this stuff, especially a lot of regional guys and up-and-coming fighters, they can't afford not to take the fight, Brandon. They got to take what's offered to them so they can feed their families. A lot of these fighters still have side jobs. A lot of these fighters are still doing a lot of stuff. Not every fighter gets lucky like an Aaron Pico or somebody like that and gets from day one, or AJ McKee from day one with Bellator. And that's only because they have pedigrees. They came from either like great college wrestling programs or in AJ's situation, his dad. A lot of people have to work up from nothing. We'll talk about it coming up with UFC later. Taito making his debut from having like a successful gym. We talked about a couple months ago, his successful Japanese run where he skipped the whole Dana White Contender Series. He's going straight to the UFC. Well, he makes his debut this weekend. We'll talk about that. But boxing, even though people keep saying boxing's dying, all this money is still in boxing. Whether it's Floyd Mayweather, whether it's Earl Spence and Terrence Crawford, whether it's Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury just got $33 million. Conor McGregor got upwards of $100 million to lose to Floyd. And he got paid, unlike Logan Paul. Sorry, Logan. I saw you still pandering for your money. Had to pay Logan Paul. Come on, Floyd. Stop bullshitting. Pay Logan Paul. Anyway, boxing's where the money is. And all these fighters, they're going to keep running over to boxing to make a quick payday, whether they come back to MMA or not. Your boy Jimmy Rivera is getting ready to do it. He's going to make a couple paydays over in BKFC. Maybe he goes back to MMA afterwards. He's still young enough. Paige Van Zandt said MMA is not, the door is not closed to it. She's just getting as much money as she can while she's in her prime, whether it's boxing or wrestling or whatever. So I think Brandon's right. I don't think the pay scale is going to change, especially as long as they don't let them have their own corporate sponsors. Like they're all subject to whatever the UFC puts on a fight kit, and that's just what they got to take, whether they like it or not. Any final thoughts, Brandon?
Pay the fighters.
There you go. Pay the fighters. All right, Brandon, you ready to continue your second place run?
Yeah, let's see what happens.
All right, we got a couple cards to talk about this weekend, and before we get out of here, got to make our preview and our picks. PFL back in action, obviously UFC later in this week. But tonight, we got PFL 2. That's what we're kicking things off with. Headlined by heavyweight champion and grand prize winner Bruno Cappelozza going against tough veteran Stuart Austin. Brandon, this card really is headlined and showcased around Bruno. There's some other names on this card, the Bubba Jenkins of the world. Lance Palmer versus Chris Wade is going to be a great fight. But we know they're building this whole card around Bruno. Does this fight go any other way than a Bruno stoppage?
Nah, I'm going with Bruno for to get his hand raised. Like I said, he is last year's champion. I think he's gonna start the season off on the right foot and get the W.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a quick stoppage. I think it's gonna be in the first round. I think Bruno's gonna come in, take care of business. Ever since he's moved up from light heavyweight to heavyweight, he's been so much faster, more technical, stronger, quicker, and Austin's tough. I mean, he's called He-Man for a reason. He's incredibly strong, but he's never fought somebody on the level of Bruno, and I think it's going to show this tonight. Over in the co-main event, we got a really good fight: Lance Palmer and Chris Wade. Who you got in that one?
I'm going with Chris Wade. Like I said, man, he was the runner-up last year. Like I said, featherweight seems to be his division, man. Looked sharp, saying got the striking, got the wrestling. Saying, I know Lance Palmer did have an off season. He was trying to say that he didn't want to be there. He, the bubble was getting to him. He just wanted to be with his daughter, everything like that. So they're trying to say that, he could, he has a new mindset now. He's ready to go. But I'm just going with Chris Wade. Like I said, man, Lance Palmer's a wrestler. Like I said, Chris Wade does have wrestling too. I think that his wrestling can nullify Lance Palmer's wrestling, keep it standing, and that's where Wade will have the advantage. He'll get the W, that way.
I'm torn on this one because, like you said, the wrestling, and that was where Cappelozza really got the best of Chris Wade in that final. The whole Khabib Dagestani wrestling. Lance Palmer doesn't have that level of wrestling, but he does have pretty damn good wrestling. And if he could smother Chris Wade, maybe he can kind of grind out a win. We always support Chris Wade, Long Island MMA, and all that stuff. And maybe Lance Palmer did have a bad year. I mean, he lost to Cappelozza. Lance Palmer lost to Bubba Jenkins. Both totally different fights. He just wasn't himself, from the dominant 2 years of back-to-back champions. But we also saw Nathan Schulte come out and not still be himself after losing last year. And so maybe the shine is off a little bit on Lance Palmer. I think I just talked myself out of it. I think I'm going to go Chris Wade. I think I just talked myself out of Lance Palmer. I think I'm going to go Chris Wade on that one too. So we're both on the same page. There are some other fun fights. I'm really looking forward to Ferreira versus Jamel Jones. That's going to be a slugfest. Renan Ferreira got kind of screwed last year. That whole Fabricio Verdum overturned to a no contest. And then even though he got the win later in the year, he didn't have enough points to qualify for the postseason. So he got screwed. He's out for vengeance this year. Jamel Jones is always a knockout away. What other fights are you looking to on this card to kind of keep you excited? Lofton is in action. There's a bunch of fun fights.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm looking for the Brendan Loughlane fight, and of course, like you said, you mentioned him. Bubba Jenkins is on the card as well. So those two guys are always very exciting, especially Bubba Jenkins when he gets on the mic. So those are definitely two fights I'm looking forward to.
And also heavyweight runner-up Ante Dillo is on the card too. So a lot of fireworks. You got the heavyweights and featherweights going into action before they start kind of mixing up the cards in May. I think this is the last card, right, Brandon? That's just like or two different divisions. Like after that, they start mixing them up, right? May 2nd?
I believe so, yeah.
All right. Or maybe May 2nd is an anomaly, and maybe they just keep doing the divisions. We'll see. But May 2nd is definitely their big card with Kayla and Anthony Pettis and everything mixed up in that action. But this is going to be a fun fight card tonight. So I'm looking forward to the heavyweights banging and the featherweights getting some action. Huh?
Tomorrow. Remember, it was Wednesday, Thursday, then it's going down Friday.
You know what? Fine. You're right. Tomorrow. I'm sick of Brandon being right all the damn time.
It.
Except in the picks. Except when he picks who I pick. Anyway, even if I do let him go first. That's how I get all my expert picks. I know when he's right and I know when he's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
All right, fun fight card happening tomorrow night, Thursday. So even if you watch the show a day late, still getting the picks for tomorrow. So there you go. But you should watch it today. And like and subscribe while you're at it. Right, Brandon?
Yep. Like and subscribe. Leave a comment while you're at it.
There you go. Last card to preview and pick before we get out of here today. UFC Vegas 53, a.k.a. UFC on ESPN 35. If you want to be a lame person and talk about the numbers, not going to say any names, people out there that like Sherdog, they just want to name it the numbers, and you're trying to find a fight card and you can't find it. Anyway, that said, Rob Font, Chito Vera, this is going to be a fun fight. I've been looking forward to this one since they announced it. Who you got in this one, and tell me why, my friend.
I'm gonna go with Chito Vera, man. I think that's my underdog pick right there. Like I said, I know he's an underdog. Rob Font has been on the tear, but I'm gonna go with Chito Vera, man. Like I said, he's kind of been on a wild run as well himself. Picking up W's. So I think Chito Vera is gonna be a nice surprise, and he's gonna get his hand raised.
Man, so Marlon Chito Vera has always got a chance. He's always got a chance. You saw him against Sean O'Malley. You've seen the best and worst of him in some of these fights recently. But other than the loss to Aldo, who's obviously turned back the clock, Rob Font's been tearing through everybody. I got Rob Font in this one, but it's not an easy fight pick for me to make because I love Chito Vera. He's one of my favorite fighters. I wouldn't be mad at all if he won this fight, but my head's screaming Rob Font, so I'm going to listen to my head over my heart this time. I think it's going to be a fun fight. I think it's going to be a 5-round decision, which is going to be really a lot for both these guys, as much damage as they do to each other. But I think it's going all 5 rounds. I think it's going to be a decision for Font. Also, on the co-main event, we got Andrei Arlovski versus Jake Collier. Who you got in this one?
Man, you got to go with I got to go with the pitbull, man. Andrei Arlovski, man. That dude's just been getting up W's, man. Like saying he's been hanging with these young guys, saying he changed up his fighting style to where he kind of keeps it close, but he just does enough to win in favor of the judges. So I'm saying until Arlovski gets beat, I'm gonna rock with him.
You have a problem with Jason Collier is he's so Heckle and Jekyll. Win, lose, win, lose, win, lose. You want to say Arlovski's getting old, but he keeps on winning. If we see the Collier that fought against Chase Sherman, then Collier's going to get that W. He's faster, stronger. He had that weird split decision loss against Felipe. He got that loss to Aspinall, which is no shame because Aspinall's fighting up in the contenders part now. Man, I don't know. I'm gonna pick Jake Collier, but this is really a toss-up type fight. I think it could go either way. Also on the card, we got a couple. We're bringing back our fight picks this week because we only got 2 cards to pick from. Brandon, who's your fight pick to watch out for this week?
Man, you know me. I'm going with the ladies, man. I'm going with Gina Mazzani versus Shanna Young, and I'm gonna go with Gina Mazzani. I think she's gonna get the job done. I know both these ladies are coming off losses, But Gina Mazzani, I believe, trains at was it Glory MMA with
James Krause.
Yeah, yep, James Krause. So he's a good coach. He knows how to bounce.
Gina's over Extreme, isn't she? I think she's with Extreme Couture.
Nah, I thought because isn't she engaged to or isn't she married to Tim Elkins?
Did she move over to
I want to say so. Yeah, I want to say so. Yeah,
well, she was with Extreme Couture. Like I know her relationship, but I didn't think she changed gyms, or maybe she's doing both. I don't know. But last I saw, she's still listed with Extreme Couture.
Hit us in the comments, baby. Let Mike know that I'm correct once again because he thought PFL was tonight when he knows he was wrong.
Look, she's also fighting against my fellow Virginian, so be nice. Anyway, so Gina Mazzani is your pick.
Yep.
All right, I'm sticking out to the main card. I had a couple tough choices. I kind of wanted to pick the Jared Gordon fight, but I think I'm not even sure really. Unfortunately, I think Jared might lose that fight. But actually, my pick is going to be the more fun, exciting fight because I think the Jared Gordon fight is going to be a wrestling match. I think my pick is that Andre Fili versus Brito fight. And also, if you see me keep looking at this way, normally I have all my extra screen stuff in front of me. But to keep my camera from glitching, it has to be over here, except I just hit the camera. But other than that, it has to be over here. So I'm not looking away from Brandon or the action. I know one time the comments were like, Brandon keeps looking at his phone. Well, he's looking at all his information just like I'm looking at my information over there. Not looking at Brandon, looking at my screen. Anyway, regardless. Man, that Fili Brito fight has all the screamings of fight of the night. That fight could go either way. I think Andre Fili's been on top of his game. I'm picking Andre in this fight. I'm picking Fili to get the dub. But man, Brito scares me too on this fight. Like either guy can come and bring him stoppage. Fili's just so tough. So like he just will go through anything, go through a brick wall. I think he drags us out for a winning decision. But that's not a knock on Brito. I think Brito's got a bright future as well. But my pick is Fili to watch out for that fight. Also, we got Jocko on this card against Mearshot. Darren Elkins versus Tristan Connolly. Like we mentioned, Jared Gordon versus Grant Dawson's going to be a hell of a fight. Daniel Lacerda is back in action. He's going against Figueiredo. And then the fight that got moved back because of some medical thing with Sherman. Now is fighting this week. Alex Romanoff versus Chase Sherman is going to be on this card. Anything else you're looking forward to on this card that we haven't talked about or something going on? And also, sorry to interrupt real quick. Like we talked about the debut of Tatsuro Taira, the Japanese sensation coming over, making his U.S. debut as well in the opening of the prelims.
Yeah, no, that's just the fight I was going to bring up. The first fight of the night. The curtain jerker, as they like to call it. Just check them out, see what the hype's really all about.
Almost like a glorified Dana White Contender Series because he's going up against an 8-1 fighter in Carlos Candelero. So he's not getting an easy like tomato can to get his debut in. He's going against a tough young kid. It's going to be a lot of fireworks in that fight. We're going to see what happens. And also, Johan Leonis is also in action against Gabriel Green, another undefeated fighter, Leonis. So a lot of fun stuff happening this weekend. On Saturday, Brandon. Yep. Fighting Saturday.
Yep, April 30th, Saturday.
April 30th, Saturday. They're fighting Saturday. I had to double check the date. Yeah, April 30th. They're fighting on Saturday. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have taken up over an hour of your time. So that will be enough for our preview and picks. Make sure you tune in to the Fighters First Network every week. We got some great changes coming up on the network. We'll talk about it shortly as soon as we can. I haven't even told Brandon until about to get off the air, and I'll let him know because I forgot to tell him before air. But we'll tell him, and then we'll tell the rest of the world later. Make sure you start tuning into social media. Stay up to date on Brandon's fight coming up in June, the training camp. He loves to share everything on social media. Well, his wife does, whether he likes it or not. So that will all be on social media. As he knows. Don't want to give your opponent any more firepower. So I will not say any more about that because he's also on social media a lot. Mm-hmm. That said, make sure you go over to fightersfirst.shop, get the Mechanic Collection, support Brandon. Make sure you're rocking the Mechanic Collection come fight time in Delaware in June. Order it usually gets there in like 7 to 9, sometimes 10 days. So make sure you give yourself at least a week and a half before the fight to make sure you order your stuff. 2 weeks to be safe. Make sure it gets there in time. We have a third-party manufacturer, takes care of all that stuff, gets it out to you regionally. So depending no matter what region of the country or world you live in, it's normally shipped from something regional. So it's usually always there within a week and a half, 2 weeks. So it comes out pretty quick, a lot of times quicker than they even say on the shipping details because we try to get it to you fast. That said, any final thoughts this week, Brandon?
Pay the fighters, baby. That's all I want to say. Just remember, pay the fighters.
Pay the fighters.
Remember, man, just like, subscribe. And yeah, like I said, if you guys can't make it to the fight in Delaware, you can't watch it. It will be streaming. I want to say it's fightclub.tv. I think on Instagram is their handle. But
put that over to Gut Check Promotions. They sure they'll have all the links.
Exactly. They got it all there. So at least this way, say if you guys can't make it to Delaware, like I said, you guys can still watch it. And like I said, I'm going to be the main event. You know how it is, man. I got to put on the show for my peoples. So you definitely don't want to tune in. Like I said, this is like 2 years in the making. All the training I've been putting in, all the letdowns, highs and lows. We're gonna let it all out on that night, June 18th.
Before we get out here, you want to shout out your boy? You're wearing his shirt.
Oh, this right here is I'll shout out to my boy. This is Ref Ryan T. He ref not one. Actually, no, yeah, he ref two of my wrestling matches. That
so he's in your pocket.
No.
Oh, he's the Charles Robinson to your nature boy.
Get out of here, man.
Okay.
No, he's looking out for the wrestlers. That's what the good.
Yeah, he's looking out for the wrestler. Now I know when I show up in UWA Elite and take down Blade, all I know is that I don't want Ref Ryan in my fight. That's what I'm saying.
All right, man. You want him, man. He's the best ref out there, man. Best ref in the biz. People don't know him, man.
Isn't he the same one that got into like a real wrestling match with somebody? Like somebody called him out and he had a fight.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did wrestle. He wrestled KTB last year as well. Like I said, man, he's that's
Charles Robinson Jr., Little Nate. No, shout out to Ref Ryan. Go get his shirt. Support him. Dynamite Kid. Go over FightersFirst.shop. Get the best-selling shirt on there. Shout out to Bronwyn Billington, all the Dynamite Kid family. They've been big supporters of what we do, as well as the British Bulldog family. George is just over in England, visiting her family, doing a convention over there with all the British Bulldog stuff. So shout out to Georgia Smith, Harry Smith, and all of them doing big things with the British Bulldogs. We got Bad News Allen on the shop doing big things. We got 3 different generations of his shirts, which are crazy. The Olympics, as well as the Japan and the Stampede. I know people have been screaming for the WWF stuff, Bad News Brown. I'm kind of staying away from that for legal reasons. There is no reason why I can't do it. I just can't use a lot of the imagery that they have legally for their stuff. So it may just be like the ones now where it's more the retro style, old school style that we do with that. We're figuring that out as we go. Just launched the Mechanic hoodie to go along with his new design. So if you want a hoodie, you got one for Justin Rolfe. He's in action even before Brandon. He's stepping in the ring in May. Former New England heavyweight champion. He'll be back in May. So check out Team Rolfe up there in New England if you're in the area. Yeah, that's pretty much it for this episode. Tune in tomorrow night for PFL, Saturday night for UFC. Watch the lead dog continue to do his thing. On that note, that's the Mechanic Brandon Cuttino. I'm Mike Ginn. This is Art of MMA, and we're out.